yes, there's been lots of like panic, hysteria, but then lots of kind of quiet consideration, and I think that downing tools means that we can all observe some of those structures and remove what, because the processes have been, lots of processes have been forcibly removed. It's a really good time to, like you said, kind of look objectively at those and see if it makes any difference that they're not there at all. And then, what does it look like when we're all plugged in again? Because for such a long time we've been ranting about this IRL and URL, the two spheres, and how they work as one, and they need to be seen as that they work symbiotically. Like, you can't have two separate drives, and all of a sudden now we're having to be catapulted into digital, and people are kind of looking at the possibilities of what you can do in that framework. I mean, everyone just expects us specifically to be like digital, and the fact is it's actually integrity, and asking the why, because there's, right now, I think when I was chatting to you before, it's like an exhausting quagmire of just digital for the sake of it. And it's just like, oh my God, these conversations don't, have to be happening. And there's lots of champion in like quiet moments throughout all of this. We don't have to be all part of this conversation. I think there's lots of kind of, it feels very gloves off, obviously, because when you project yourself in that space, specifically live, we've been talking about this quite a lot actually, like the pros and cons of it, because obviously you can see everyone who's tuning in, which is great, and it involves which is great because you can kind of like have all these sub chats that are going on, and it can kind of expose, well, it exposes in so many ways. Like, the positives are that you can see everyone in, talking to one another, and you can see who the peers are, and you can really kind of, I suppose, harness the power of that cultural kudos that you have in your little sphere, and who your network is. But then the negatives are the fact that you can see if like no one's following, no one's listening. Yeah, it's super. We've done a lot. We've been pushing a lot of the thinking to be beyond this space right now, and going back to that idea of what we were just discussing, which is that quiet moment. And I think that through like historically, artists and makers have taken themselves off in isolation to residencies and part of a big philanthropic structure they got to stay in, Stead Grand House. And I think there's something really meditative in that part of the practice, which has been lost very much in this kind of digital, always on space that we're in. And so I think there's going to be lots of negotiation of do we fit in the digital space? Like, how do we fit into it? Rather than everyone being, it's like, how do you fit into it? And how do you fit into the real world again? And the fact that, you don't know why it's got till it's gone. And it really feels like that. Like, what are we all going to do with this real-time communication? Because we do live in a tactile universe, and IRL and URL does need to work in unison. And hopefully throughout all this, the clients we work with, and then beyond that, it will be around considering the two in their interplay and the importance of the IRL. Like, if you're creating a digital experience, what does it smell like, taste like? And then you can teleport that to the viewer. Like, you can send physical, you can be in the physical space and then layer a digital, or either. Yeah, because that's what we're like, we're kind of working through all of these like points, like, as if we're talking about fashion as a brand, like what is, how can technology aid? Because everyone's just talking about digital and technology right now, and we're kind of like, well, it has to be about the end point. So it's like, what is this flux of, online created? And I think it's, and the big thing that's been lost is, oh my God, we've lost the front row. I'm just like, is that it?
Take it. Just hold.
So much douche. But it's the exclusivity, exactly, the idea of limited, and these things that are the hierarchy system, which we love at CommuneEast. So it's like, we really into this kind of vision of democratizing that space and building, you know, abolishing echo chambers and building these kind of narratives that feed all. And then, you know, so it's really interesting to see like what the pain points are. Like, how do you build an exclusive, you know, visual narrative, or how do you an exclusive event? And we were kind of looking at ways to kind of lock digital into spaces, and then it just feels like, exactly as you said, it just doesn't feel right in that space. It doesn't feel right locking things away, because it's specifically for us as well. So we're trying to kind of navigate clients and brands that want this mirrored offering to what they've already had. And again, we're kind of pushing it back against that, because specifically what it should be is not it should be reimagining the cogs of that big, you know, beast, and kind of pulling it all apart and looking at it all and exploring and putting it back together in a way that, number one, has inclusivity, it drives new communication tools, sustainability should be one of the specific narratives we're all looking at, digital services, all of that. And we've got an amazing team, and it's been really wonderful to really right now push the boundaries, because for a long time tech was for the cherry on the cake, and it was just this end thing. It's like, if we've got the budget, let's create, you know, we want to augment it. And it's just like, well, actually, let's just pull it all back. Like, why do you want that? And let's reimagine that. And I think for us, it's definitely the point of let's work to push the best content and the best possible universe that we can imagine out, rather than just mirroring what's already out there. Because, you know, lookbooks, the show, all of these kind of, the fact that you have a show in London and then you have to go to the showroom in Paris to deliver to the buyers, and then they put a speculative order for, you know, and their idea of what a consumer may want in 6 months. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. We all know that. I think the geography of all of this has really hit hard, but the fact that you know, everyone's in different places, but I also think there's lots of like wonder in that. You know, we can Zoom, we can share screens, etc., and it just means that the long haul journey, commutes, etc., are abolished. The endless trawl of meeting to meeting, which feels really 80s now, as far as and also emotionally, everyone's been really gloves off, you know, talking exactly how they're feeling, which I think with short project turnarounds, and because we have had to pivot from pushing digital to now looking at the exchange in that by saying, okay, we're in the digital URL landscape, but what's the next iteration of that? And how can we build together a universe that is digital and physical with our expert team and all of the wonderful offerings that we deliver? But we've had to really pivot quickly ourselves in our kind of marketing messaging, but also in looking at considering what the new version of reality is.